Hello, I'm Jamila Musayeva, an international etiquette consultant and author of etiquette books. In today's video, we're going to show you how to prepare a traditional Saudi coffee, as well as talk about the etiquette of enjoying coffee here in Saudi. With me, I have beautiful Sara Alali. She is a co-founder of That Boutique Cafe here in Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in Riyadh. And That Boutique Cafe specializes in producing specialty coffee, and they have a delicious menu to try. So if you're ever in the region, make sure to check it out and check out their Instagram page. Sara herself is an expert in coffee. She's an educator. She's also a sensory judge in the region for coffee competitions, particularly specializing in qahwa coffee competitions. And so there is no other person better than Sara to talk us about the steps of preparing a traditional Saudi coffee. So the floor is yours, Sara. Tell us what we have to have and what is the process.
Okay, so we have a dalla here. Of course, the traditional way we use it on a fire stove, but here we're using electrical dalla. And we have boiling water. And then we have here our coffee, and we have 35 grams. Sometimes we use 40. It depends on the type of coffee you're using and what roasting grade you are using. Also, we have cardamom, and I'm using here ground cardamom. It's 15 grams. And also I have here saffron. I use like almost 6 threads saffron. Some people like to add the cloves. Okay, but I won't use it in my recipe.
Okay, so just a quick question for those that are not aware or don't know about the beans for the Saudi traditional cup of coffee. The color is unusually different. It's very light, it's yellowish. So what kind of coffee are you using for this particular?
We usually use either Yemeni or Ethiopian. This is what we usually use, but we are experimenting more now, and we're more open to using different beans from different origins. So, yes, you probably can see that it's a light roast. So this is how we like our coffee here in the region. And it's a light roast. That's why you see it. It's more like a golden brown. It's not like dark brown.
Okay, so these are the essentials. Now, having collected all of this, what is the process or step-by-step of preparation?
Okay. So I have here boiling water. And then I will add my saffron first. And then I will add the coffee. Okay, I will stir it a bit. Okay, and I will let it brew for almost 20 minutes.
Okay, so we're here for another 20 minutes. But when we were talking earlier, you told me that some people brew it for 20 minutes, others do it for 40 minutes. What is the difference in terms of the texture, in terms of the taste, or which regions maybe do it more?
So it depends from region to region on the degree of roast. So some regions, when you go north of Saudi Arabia, it's darker. And when you go south, it's lighter. So, and then for the boiling time, it depends. Like it's a recipe, and every house has its own recipe. And some people like it more intense or lighter.
Okay, so the more we let it brew, so if it's for 40 minutes, the more intense is the taste
and the flavors, yeah.
And the color is darker then, yeah?
No, the color, it will depend on the degree of roast.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So not on the amount of the time you left for brewing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, it will be more intense than when you brew it for 20 minutes on that degree of roast. But I mean, when you use darker roast coffee, you will probably have a darker brew of coffee.
So for those that don't know the difference between those flavors, so if it's a darker roast, what kind of flavor does it have? Is it more like acidic, or is it more like bittery?
So actually, the degree of roast, it does matter. So what we are looking for in general is the nutty notes in the coffee. So we like notes of almonds, roasted almonds, and peanuts. Some people will prefer more darker roast because it's more bitter. It has more bitterness, but we don't prefer acidity in our coffee, especially in Saudi coffee.
I think that's one of the reasons why I personally really love Saudi coffee is because I hate acidity in coffee. And I know nowadays with all the specialty coffees, that's the big thing. Most coffees are acidic. And I know they tell me that's how it's supposed to be, but I really don't like it. So Arabic coffee for me is perfect. I don't get any jitterness out of it. I'm I'm energized, but I'm not jittery. And that's very important for me.
Yeah, but if you try the balanced cup of coffee, it won't be that acidic and it will not bother you. So you have to try balance.
I should come to that boutique cafe to try a balanced coffee. So what are we having now? We have boiling coffee and saffron. And what is the next stage?
And the next stage, or the final stage, I will add the cardamom. And I usually like to let it boil just for 1 minute. And then I will let it settle, and then I can decant it in the serving dalla.
So there are 2 dallas. One is the one for brewing, and the other is for serving.
Usually there are traditionally 3 dallas. So the one dalla is for boiling the water, second dalla is for adding the spices, and then the third dalla is for serving. So the most luxurious one will be the third one, because this is the one that you're using for your guests.
Oh, okay. But you said that we have a different dalla for coffee and water and different for spices, but we added saffron first.
Yeah, because we are doing it the contemporary way. Also, it's electrical dalla and we're using everything together.
Okay, but if we were to do it in a traditional sense, we would first boil the coffee
and the water.
And then we would add the rest of the spices.
Exactly, and then we will decant it to the serving dalla.
Do we leave it to rest to kind of stay warm so it can give out its spicy scent?
Usually you have to wait for it to settle, because you don't want, we use a sieve inside the dalla, and we don't want the spices to be in the finjan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you need it to settle a little bit, just so you don't have these spices inside the cup.
Okay, so they have to go down. Basically, we call in Azerbaijani resting time. It has to go down, rest, so the flavors are all there, aromas, and then we're ready to serve.
So here, it's ready now.
Yeah.
Okay. So in this stage, I'm going to wait for it to settle down, and then I will decant it to this dalla.
So here we have a large portion, and here we have a small dalla. What happens with the rest? We just leave it in the one that we've...
Okay, so this is a small dalla that I just brought so we can enjoy together this coffee. But usually we use 1 liter. So you will have a bigger dalla and then smaller and smaller. But the smallest is 1 liter. Because usually we drink coffee together, as a communal sense. So we will have it 1 liter.
Okay, so this is just for individual use. This is not the traditional way. Also a modern twist to having Arabic coffee.
So now I will decant the coffee in the serving dalla.
I think for those that have never tried it, you can definitely tell its distinctual scent as well as the color. It's a very deep yellow, very... a rich yellow color.
Yeah, we say golden. So it's more you can even smell the essence of sesame, peanuts, and roasted almonds.
It's true. I always feel like when I have a cup of coffee, it's so filling, I had a dessert, especially when you have it with dates. It almost feels like having eaten a dessert. It's very satisfying, very filling, and also just super energizing. Just 1 finjan and 1 date, and I'm good to go. Khalas, I'm good to go. So now that we have prepared an Arabic coffee, we have poured it into a smaller dalla. Let's talk about the serving etiquette. How do we properly serve according to the Saudi culture?
Okay, so usually we will serve the coffee with dates. Okay. And we have the dates, and we have a place where we put the pit after we eat.
Can I show it? It's so
cute.
Of
course. Okay, so the way we serve the coffee is that we use our left hand to pour the coffee inside the finjan. And then we will serve the guest with our right hand.
And I'll take it with my right hand only. That's the right way of... And is this the right way of holding the finjan?
Yes.
Okay. Also, look at how she has served it. It's almost 1/3 or very little of coffee. So it's not up until the top of the rim, but just a little bit.
So this is how we serve the coffee, 1/3, and then we will make sure that the finjan will not burn, the fingers.
Okay, so if it's hot, obviously now this is a double glass. I can hold it here too, but regularly, if it's a ceramic smaller one, you can always hold it by the top because this part will be hot and this one will be cool. But also it's because you will not burn your lips if you're drinking a hot coffee. We have a similar idea when drinking Azerbaijan traditional coffee, also served in a glass. We also don't fill it up to the rim because we want to leave a space for our lips. So I think a lot of the things are actually similar or carried from culture to culture. So I'll put my finjan back. And we have been using the word finjan a lot. Can you tell us what is finjan and why it's important for Arabic culture?
Okay, so finjan is this type of cup. So its shape, and it's also not like an espresso cup or a mug. So it's how we serve the coffee, and the finjan is the Arabic name for this special cup. Okay, so usually what we do, we stack them. We stack the finjans.
Okay, yeah.
So fanajin. So we stack them on top of each other. So if you have it wider or bigger, it's difficult for you to stack the finjan. So and usually the person who's serving will do this sound.
Like coffee is coming.
Yeah,
like a little.
So if people are talking, they will not disturb them. They will just let them know that the coffee is coming.
That's an interesting fact, actually, because I have never heard this before. So it's always good to learn from the locals because you hear something that you will never even read in the books or, watch in a video until you watch this video. Now you will know. So now that we have served the coffee, let's go and enjoy it, Sarah. And let's talk a bit more about etiquette because that's what the channel is all about. Let's learn more about the Saudi culture and what are some do's and don'ts about Saudi coffee. So now that we are seated to enjoy our cup of traditional Saudi coffee, let's talk a little bit about the etiquette of it because there are a lot of rules around it. First and foremost, the question that I asked you before, who is the person in charge of preparing the coffee and also serving the coffee?
Usually men are the ones in charge of preparing the coffee. But nowadays, traditionally also, we sit separately, so men and women sit in different seating areas. So what we do, usually the man or the host will be serving the males and the hostess will be serving the females. Some people will have their kids, like the older son or the older daughter, to serve them.
Okay, but you also mentioned that it's always men preparing the coffee. So it's interesting because in some households, women are in charge of preparing the tea, at least in Azerbaijani culture, If it's not samovar, of course, the rest is on women. But it's interesting how in Saudi culture, it's up to the man to prepare the coffee. Do you think there's some idea behind it?
It's like, certain things are for males, so it's like barbecue today.
Yeah.
But the thing is that it's changing, of course. Like nowadays, people, women, men will just prepare the coffee and serve it, and it's changing.
It's changing.
Yeah.
So when you were serving the coffee, you were telling me how it's important to hold the dalla in your left hand, finjan in your right hand, and serve it with your right hand. And I have to pick it up with the right hand. So tell us a little bit about the importance of the right hand and why the left hand is not an appropriate one to be used.
So usually we use our right hand to eat and drink, to write, and we use our right foot to enter a new place. So this is how we like to start things.
Okay.
So that's why we use our right hand.
So in Western etiquette, we also hold the main utensil in our dominant hand. Say it's a knife or a spoon, and then the fork will be on the left hand. But oftentimes I get questions from people that are left-handed. If I'm left-handed, can I switch it? And the Western etiquette actually doesn't have any taboos around holding your cutlery in your left hand. But understand that if you're in this part of the region, even if you are left-handed, you have to opt to use your right hand whenever someone offers you something, be it a business card or a finjan of Arabic coffee. So now that we have been given a cup of coffee, what is the right way of drinking it? Because it's so small, there's very little coffee, and the assumption might be it's like an espresso in a Milan, at the bar, you take a little cup, you drink it at one go, or do you savor it? Do you take your time? What is the right way?
Usually you take your time because it's hot. And this is another reason why we add only a little bit, so it will be always fresh and always hot.
Oh, okay. So if someone serves me an Arabic coffee and I take a shot of it, will it be considered rude? I'm assuming.
Nobody will say anything, but it's not polite to drink it all at once. So usually you have to drink it because there's a small amount. So you will probably get it in 2 sips.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if I'm someone who loves Arabic coffee, and I always ask them to fill it to the top. Remember, we also mentioned I love to drink Arabic coffee in a mug. I know no one does it, but is it okay if someone serves me a little bit and I'll say, "Can you add some more?"
No.
No. Okay.
Usually you will take what you get and then you will drink it, and so the amount is usually 1 sip or 2 sips. So you can't go more and drink it in 4 sips or 5 sips. But also you cannot ask them to add more. So it's usually the person who is serving the coffee will always be around, and they have to be attentive to see who needs more coffee, and they will keep adding the coffee. So this is part of the hospitality in Saudi culture, that the person who's serving is always around, is serving fresh coffee. So you can imagine that you are having a fresh sip every time.
That's amazing, actually, because I wanted to ask you about how many rounds of cups can you drink. The reason I'm asking is because in afternoon British etiquette, you're supposed to have 2 to 3 cups during the afternoon tea ceremony, so not more than that. But in Azerbaijani traditional tea ceremony, you can have how many ever cups of tea you want to have. So what is the rule in terms of the Arabic coffee?
So usually when you go to a house, they will serve you at least 3 times. So you will never go to somewhere and then they will just serve you 1 time. So you will probably have enough coffee by the end of the day.
In Azerbaijani culture, we actually serve tea in the beginning as well, when people enter a home or a venue. And then we also serve it during the meal pretty much, and then after the meal. So it's pretty much throughout the whole time of reception. Is it true the same for the Arabic coffee? Is it in the beginning, but also at the end, or just the beginning?
Usually it's a welcoming drink, so it's only the beginning. But and after a meal, we usually have tea.
So we were talking earlier with you when we were preparing the Arabic coffee that usually the dalla is 1 liter of water, and you will never have dalla alone. It's meant to be shared with the community, with a bunch of people. It's not like the American coffee you'll have in a mug or an espresso you'll have at the shot at the bar, in a coffee bar in Italy. So it's something that you share communally, so you enjoy together. Why I wanted to understand why it's so essential to the culture, or how is it reflective of the Arabic culture?
Okay, so in Arabic culture, we're usually based on community or centered around the community. So we don't eat alone, we don't drink alone. So we always share the meal, we always share our coffee.
Yeah. So you will never see anyone drinking dalla alone.
Except me and you.
Except the 2 of us. But I want to say that I have noticed some people, enjoying dalla either in a hotel or something alone. And now with the smaller dallas, we have adapted and modified, but the traditional way is actually enjoying it communally, and I actually really love that fact because I think it shows so much, it tells me so much about the culture in the way that the food is shared or the drinks are shared. So it's an interesting observation. Also, speaking of the way that is served, we talked about the dates. So you always serve Arabic coffee with a date. We have a little pit container here to throw your pits in. So what are maybe other desserts or other sweets you can serve Arabic coffee with, or what are some other kinds of dates that you can serve it with?
Usually, or traditionally, it's dates only, and we have different kinds of dates. And we will have a special place for the pits, and also a special, a small container for water. And that's because the dates are sticky. So you would have the dates, and then you will clean your fingers.
Oh, interesting, because in Western formal dining etiquette, whenever you're served with something where you might have used your fingers to eat, they'll serve you a little finger bowl with water so you can cleanse your fingers. So it's interesting that we see some similarities across the cultures. So I think that's it, Sarah. Those are all the questions that I had. If you have anything else you want to add about the do's or the don'ts of the Arabic coffee culture, do share.
Okay, so you remember when you were serving the coffee and you were asking, should I lift the finjan? So actually, the person who's pouring the coffee should be standing. They should be standing, holding the dalla in their left hand, pouring in their and the finjan is in the right hand, and then they will serve it in the right hand.
Okay, so, but if we're seated like this, I wanted to reach out and serve you coffee, I have to actually stand up.
No, usually we don't sit. The person who is serving the coffee doesn't sit. They usually stand and wait there and be attentive and see who needs more coffee.
Oh, so if it's a hostess, she has no break.
So nowadays, yes, we would sit and we will put more like a flask or a thermos, and then we will add the coffee. But traditionally, no. Like in a wedding, you won't see the person who is serving the coffee sitting with you.
Okay, so at the wedding, who is in charge? I know that the weddings are conducted separately, men and women, in different majlis rooms. So for the female one, who would be in charge of pouring? The mother of the bride?
No, it's usually waiters or...
okay. Yeah. So never, usually someone serving. So it's never someone from...
Or someone from the family, but not a person who's like the host, or the hostess, yes.
Someone
and also another thing, we cannot cling the cups.
I was going to do like this, and you were like, "Don't do it." No, I understand. Of course, this is not to be done like that. You don't cling glasses, finjans, or obviously don't cling any teacups. But the shape for it just calls for a cling. Are there anything else that we might have forgotten when it comes to the tradition?
I think that's it.
We have covered. If you have any questions, you can also ask us. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching this video until the very end. Thank you, Sarah, for accepting my invitation. Thank you for doing this video together with me. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and do let me know down in the comment section below what were some of your interesting observations and what are some video suggestions you have for us, maybe on Saudi culture or cultures around the world. And also I want to thank from the bottom of my heart this beautiful venue provided by a gracious Princess Noof. The place is called Lift Gallery. It's a beautiful space where you can do all kinds of art workshops. And thank you so much for this beautiful venue and also the opportunity to shoot here. Thank you, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!